Take-Two and Remedy get in a legal battle over the letter R. The creators of Dave the Diver are making a MOBA, apparently, and all gamers across the internet suddenly hate this guy. I'm Ash Dixon, and this is GINX News. Alan Wake 2 developers Remedy Entertainment are being sued due to their recent logo change. Here's what it looks like, and apparently it just looks way too close to another logo. So much so that people will totally get confused. You obviously know which one I'm talking about, right? I mean, of course you do. It's Rockstar Games. I mean, just look at them side by side. No guys, we haven't just put the same image twice next to each other. Believe it or not, those are supposed to be two totally different logos. Well, that's how the lawyers over at Take-Two see the situation anyway. They obviously own Rockstar, and according to them, all things that have the letter R look exactly the same, even if the color scheme, font, style, design, and iconography are all completely different. And it's all a bit awkward because Remedy are currently working with Take-Two to remake the first two Max Payne games, so it's an odd fight to pick. Remedy actually unveiled the new logo way back in April, and the case is currently in a year-long cooling off period, meaning there's time to hash things out and prevent the whole thing from actually going to court. And by hashing things out, I mean by Take-Two just calming the down. They have a habit of doing this. Remember the rather lovable cooperative game It Takes Two? You know, the one whose name perfectly encapsulates its two-player focus? Well, it also has the words take and two in it. And you know what that means? Lawsuit time!
Can you imagine a world without lawyers?
Overall, I get companies trying to protect their intellectual property, especially as we've seen how things don't always turn out great when it's suddenly in the public domain. But what do you think? Do you see any similarities at all? Do you like Remedy's logo in general? Do let us know down in the comments. Before yesterday's show, I was researching away, as I do, to try and find some interesting things to talk about. And one headline did catch my eye. It read, "The new Ubisoft Plus and getting gamers comfortable with not owning their games." And I was like, whoa, hey now, I like owning my games and I hate the ever-growing list of subscriptions across all of media, so what's this all about? Well, I did some digging around various different articles, and it was all to do with an interview with this guy, Philippe Tremblay, Ubisoft's director of subscriptions. The company recently added a new service for PC gamers, and he was there to talk about it. And for the most part, he was just making observations about how we consume subscription models differently across different media. Most notably, he talked about how the transition of gaming has been a lot slower because, unlike in movies and music, you have a save, which you're not going to want to risk. He explicitly said they're not going to force gamers down one route, they want to give people a choice. He even goes on to say, "I still have 2 boxes of DVDs. I definitely understand the gamer's perspective with that." And after all that reading, I thought, oh, well, it's a bit of a non-story. I'm gonna go and talk about the guy that made a freaking PS5 tablet instead. We wrapped up the show, I browsed some Reddit, and holy moly did that Ubisoft story explode. On social media, the story was posted as if Ubisoft was demanding everyone gets comfortable with not owning anything. And boy, people weren't happy about it. Suddenly, a load of people were calling for boycotts or just pirating all of Ubisoft's games. And Jesus, guys, I'm gonna assume you read the article before making such bold calls for action. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of things to get upset about when it comes to Ubisoft, and this is also coming from someone that basically never likes Ubisoft games. But I do find it rather ironic how mad people have gotten over this, yet will continue to pour their money into Steam, where, guess what, you don't actually own your games there, and if Valve decide you break any of their terms of service, they can just revoke access. In the end, I get where the reaction came from. The topic is a loaded gun, and we're all tired of big gaming companies just on the consumer all of the time. And we're definitely right to kick and scream about it. Just maybe don't aim all of your frustration towards this guy. Dave the Diver was one of last year's gems that just seemingly came out of nowhere. There were a load of debates on whether it should be classed as an indie game after it got a load of Game of the Year nominations, but controversy aside, it's rather fantastic. And if you played it, you might be rather curious what developers Mint Rocket are working on next. Well, plot twist, it's not a sequel. In fact, it's nothing remotely similar. No, they're making Wake Runners, the dystopian sci-fi MOBA. And look, I've sunk way too many hours into League of Legends over the years, so I'm not gonna pretend I don't think it looks interesting. But it is a rather strange decision. And to make things worse, you might be sitting there thinking, wait a second, didn't they already announce that they were working on a different new game? And yeah, you're right, they're also making NAC 1 Last Paradise, which is a generic looking PvP zombie survival game. Now, after the hilarious void left behind by The Day Before, there's still probably an insatiable appetite for zombie games over on Steam, so I can kind of see the logic in making it, but the departure from Dave the Diver to these two totally different games just raises some serious questions. However, saying that, do you know who will always stick to their bread and butter? Well, it's us here on GINX News. If, or when, you subscribe, you can do so safely in the knowledge that you'll be getting your daily gaming news videos Monday to Friday. No sudden documentaries or goofy Let's Plays, because that's what our other channels are for. You should check them out too. Square Enix are starting to make a big ol' song and dance about their upcoming multiplayer shooter, Foam Stars. You'll likely remember seeing its announcement last year and thinking, oh, this is PlayStation's version of Splatoon. And while they've now made it clear that they want you to stop saying that, please, it looks like they've also shot themselves in the foot by announcing that the game uses some AI art. Producer Kosuke Okutani has said that while most of it was made by humans, a small amount of art was created using Midjourney, and automatically, people were not happy. He did go on to explain that it was part of their experimentation with AI and that they only used it for things like in-game album covers for the music in the game. Apparently, that only accounts for like 0.01% of the content. But then again, you can excuse people's skepticism after the president of Square Enix said that they want to aggressively apply AI. But what do you think? Is it fine to use it in this circumstance? What do you think of Foam Stars? Apparently it does stand on its own 2 feet, so are you keen to give it a go? Let us know down in the comments. And that's the show. Thanks for watching. As always, do check out yesterday's video somewhere around here, and we'll see you tomorrow.